Hey friends, it's Miss Hilton. This week we have been learning about authors and illustrators, people who make books. They are writers. And did you know that you are a writer too? In kindergarten, we write books. Today we are going to learn about ways we can think of ideas for stories to write. Because before you write a book, you have to have an idea first about what you want to write about. Our learning goal today is that we will learn how to brainstorm ideas for writing a story. What does brainstorm mean? That's kind of a silly word, brainstorm. When you brainstorm, you are thinking or talking about ideas. You can brainstorm all by yourself. You can think in your head, what would be a fun idea to write a book about? Or you can brainstorm with a friend, somebody in your class, your teacher, somebody in your home. When I talk to my friends about stories I want to write, sometimes they ask me questions that get me thinking about more things I need to add to my story. So it helps to talk to a friend when you're brainstorming. Today we are going to read a book. It's called A Squiggly Story. This is the main character in the book. And throughout the book, he does different things to brainstorm, to think of ideas for a story. Today, we are going to read this book called A Squiggly Story and start brainstorming ideas for books that we can write in kindergarten. Hi friends, the book we are going to read today is called A Squiggly Story. It is written by Andrew Larson and Mike Lowry. What do you think that word squiggly means? Squiggly could be just what he's drawing on the page, kind of like a scribble. Let's see what happens in this story, A Squiggly Story. Oh, there we have some squiggles. There's the title, A Squiggly Story. My sister loves to read big words and little words, page after page, word after word. My sister loves to write big words and little words, page after page, word after word. Sometimes I pretend I can write too. Big letters and little letters. Do you recognize any of the letters that he is writing? Swirl after swirl, squiggle after squiggle. I see a lot of great letters and the word at, hat right here. What are you doing? I asked one day while we're sitting at the kitchen table. I'm writing a story. I wish I could write a story. You can. It's easy. How? I know my letters, but I don't know many words. Write what you know. Every story starts with a single word, and every word starts with a single letter. Why don't you start there, with a letter? So I get my crayons and pencils and a pad of paper, and I start to write. I start with a single letter. It's an easy letter. What letter did he write? I. That's me. That's a good beginning. Now what?
What's going to happen? How should I know? It's your story. You're the boss. I what? I'm stuck. What happens in my story? I draw a circle. It's a soccer ball. Then I write another letter. It's you, I say to my sister. I'm playing soccer with you. Great. Where are we playing soccer? Maybe we're playing on the beach, I suggest. We've never played soccer on the beach. So I do a bunch of dots for sand on the beach. Then I make a bunch of V's. Big V's and little V's. Wave after wave in the ocean. Now what? What do you mean? You have a beginning. Now we're in the middle of the story. Something else has to happen so we can go to the end. I'm stuck again. I start doodling. I doodle another V. But this time I doodle it upside down. Oh no! It's a shark! It's getting closer and closer. I flip the page to get away from the shark. The next day, I bring my story to school. It's my turn for show and tell, and that means I get to sit in Mrs. Singh's chair. Everyone else sits on the carpet, ready to read. Here is Mrs. Singh. Mrs. Singh's chair. Last night, I started to write a story. It's sort of squiggly, but here it goes. Once upon a time, there was a brother and a sister, and they loved to play soccer. This is what he wrote. This is his illustration or drawing. One day they had an idea. They decided to play soccer on the beach. So they went to the beach and played soccer. Then they noticed something coming toward them in the water. It was a shark, a real live shark. It was getting closer and closer, and it was getting bigger and bigger. And that's as far as I got. That's wonderful, says Miss Singh. What happens next? What about the shark? What about the brother and sister? I don't know. I'm stuck. Class, does anyone have an idea? Do you have an idea of what could happen next in the story? Ooh, it looks like his classmate does. Jake waves his hand in the air. I do. Maybe one of them kicks the ball and it hits the shark in the head. Then maybe the shark bites the ball with his big, pointy shark teeth. Alaya offers another idea. What if the shark's name is Squiggles? What if Squiggles is a vampire shark? What if she invites the brother and sister to ride on her back? What if they become a vampire family and live forever? Vampires can't swim. Everybody knows that. Of course they can swim. Vampires can do anything. But it's my story, and I don't want vampires. If I was writing a story, I'd have a lot of vampires. Then you should write one. But I like yours. That night after dinner, I sit down beside my sister. Her face is buried in a book. I've been thinking about my story all day, and I still don't know how to end it. Remember, you're the author, she says without looking up. You can do whatever you want. So I get my pencil and I start with a bunch of stars. Then I add a few exclamation marks. My sister told me exclamation marks make things exciting. She's right, it is exciting. I add a couple of slanty lines. What's going on? Asks my sister, looking up from her book. It's nighttime, the stars are out. The shark has gone away and we decided to take a walk on the beach. That's when we discovered this giant rocket ship. That sounds cool. Then what happens? We hear a voice. It's counting down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off! Not yet, I say, adding just one more squiggle. Just before the rocket blasts off, we spy a Martian looking out through a window. The Martian invites us to climb aboard. That's a great ending. Now I have an idea for my next story. It's going to be about a boy who climbs aboard a rocket ship, then takes a trip to Mars. And I think I know just how to begin. The end.
Did you notice how the boy in our story today was brainstorming? First, he talked to his sister about his ideas. Then he sat down and he wrote down his ideas that he brainstormed. After he wrote his story, he read it to his classmates, and his classmates gave him some feedback and asked some questions. Today, we are going to brainstorm things that we could make books about. And we're going to brainstorm with our heart map. You should have a heart map like this in your purple home learning folder. You can pause the video to go look for your heart map. If you can't find your heart map, you can make one like I made mine. I just drew a big heart on a piece of paper and I made my own heart map. So inside of your heart map, you are going to draw pictures and write words about things you love and things you know a lot about, because it's so much fun to write stories about things you love and you know. So here is what I drew on Miss Hilton's heart map. I drew, of course, Oliver, my cat. I drew a picture of my friends and my family. I drew a picture of earrings because I really like to make earrings. I like to go swimming. I like to drink coffee. I like to be a teacher. I like to eat sushi. And I like to go on walks outside. So you can see I filled up my entire heart map with things that I love. Because later, when I can't think of a story to write about, I can look back at my heart map and think, do I have any stories I could write about Oliver? I could write about the time where he got outside and he played with another neighborhood cat. Do I have any stories I could write about teaching? I remember on the first day I started teaching, the fire alarm went off and I was really nervous. So just by looking at these pictures that I drew, I can think of different stories to write about. So now I want you to fill your heart map with things that you love. Start from the heart. When you can't think of a story idea, look at your heart map. So now you are finding your heart map or making one like Miss Hilton, and you're filling it in with pictures of things you love. Great work today, friends. You learned ways to brainstorm ideas for stories. When you're done, send me a picture of your heart map.